What's up, guys? Welcome back to Tall and Taller. I just want to start the show out by saying Colorado is complete ass. I just want to tell you, and I don't think they're going to make a bowl game.
No.
Um,
I really thought they would at the beginning of the year, and they started off hot, got all the media attention.
playing fucking nobody.
And true, but we did too, right? And I thought.
Are you comparing Colorado to Michigan?
No, the schedules pretty much up until this point. I'm not, but what I'm saying is I think they started off 3-0, and I really thought they would. I really thought that they would get bowl eligible, but they're not, and that's fine. It just shows, it kind of proves my point, our fan base's point to what the power of media has done to us, and what they did to him on a positive note. They just blew him up, and it was prime time this, and look at his shades, and look at this, and all these celebrities coming out, and they just boosted him up, which is great for him in that program, because even though they're going to finish not bad, to me, that's a powerful recruiting tool. That's a powerful recruiting tool for him. Is okay. See what we got when we were winning, and you, Hunter Poor, are the difference between 4 wins and 8 wins next year. Come on and play with us and reap all the benefits, because there's a ton of money out there in Colorado, and they showed up in record numbers for that university when they were doing well. I don't know what it's about now, but my point is he's proven if they win, there's going to be success there, and they'll be treated really well. But we all knew in the moment it was way overblown. Shedeur Sanders has already come out and said he isn't going to NFL, and these talking heads on ESPN are calling him it's going to be a race between him and Caleb Williams, between the number 1 pick in the draft. Well, you know what? Maybe he's going to get there, and maybe he's going to be a good professional quarterback, but I sure as hell didn't see it early in the season, and I don't see it now. But yeah, they're just not a good football team yet.
No, last night did knock them out of bowl game contention, because I forgot last night would have been their 11th game. So, and they're 4-7 now with only Utah remaining on their schedule.
Yeah, and they're not beating Utah.
It's at Utah, so yeah, no. I mean, especially because they just lost to Washington State last night like that, and Washington State's second to last, behind only with Colorado behind them in the Pac-12. But anyways, I just wanted to talk on that real quick, because I know at the beginning of the year, sorry guys, that it was a big topic, and we did kind of fallen off the face of the earth after like week 6 or whatever. We hadn't really heard about Deion or Colorado for a while.
Right.
But with that, let's move over to the more impending situation that we talk about for, I don't know, fucking almost a month now at this point.
Yep.
Michigan versus Big Ten NCAA. A lot of changes this week. A lot of changes this week in this whole thing. I don't know. Good changes, bad changes, not sure. From Chris Partridge getting fired, Michigan's and Jim Harbaugh and Michigan's accepting the suspension. Kind of seems like Michigan has turned a different foot, or turned. I can't even think of the saying, but of what they were thinking about, what they were trying to do. I don't know if it's because the NCAA or somebody released some information to them or some evidence, but definitely seems that we have a different viewpoint on this whole thing now. What do you think?
Yeah, here's what I think was that a couple things. Last Saturday, when they went for the TRO, and the judge refused to hear it and scheduled a court date, and then Michigan won. It didn't. They were going on the basis of not to suspend him, based on it would irreparably harm the university's football team. Well, they went out and won. If they would have lost, I think they would have had an argument. Those are really hard to get. This time last week, I thought it was a slam dunk. But as I kind of seen that part coming. Um, I just think they realized that it wasn't really a winnable case. That they weren't going to win. I think they probably had some, got a little bit of information about the Partridge deal, and I just seen something this morning that they had the NCAA Wednesday, the NCAA had agreed to make it 2 games, and Michigan accepted that. And
it'd still be 3 games.
No,
the
NCAA,
gonna
the NCAA and Michigan had come to agreement to knock it down to 2 games, and then a couple hours later, the Partridge information come forward, and they're like, "No, 3 games. It's 3 games now." So, I mean, it is what it is, right? I don't think this is good. And I was fairly sure Harbaugh was gone after this, anyways. But I think he's definitely gone now, and I think the only thing that makes him stay is that he doesn't want this to be his lasting Michigan memory. But we're going to lose. We got 40 something seniors, right? Something like that.
44.
Yeah, it's a crazy number. And we got a lot of talent coming back, but I doubt JJ will come back. So I think this is probably it for Harbaugh. We haven't heard anything about the contract extension that was going to be done by the end of the week 2 weeks ago. And I think that's probably a part of why Jim personally accepted that was, fuck it, let's get it over with. I can coach the playoffs if we make it, Big Ten championship game if we make it, and then I'm out. That's what I expect to see. That was to me, yesterday was a day where I thought, fuck, okay, there's a lot more to this than what we actually have believed. And all the opposing fan bases and trolls have kind of hinted to this all along. And do I look through stuff through maybe colored glasses? Sure, but I'm also an objective person, and I really believed that it was much ado about nothing, and it still probably is to an extent, but I don't think this over with yet with surprises. And I got on Twitter today, and I forget who it was, but someone I consider credible said that there's another coach that's going to be fired today before the game. So
yeah, what I read that something about the issue. I don't remember who it was. It was some chick's name that someone had reposted and said this. Somebody said that she was going to be down. I don't remember though 100%. My guess, so I mean, it's probably I hate to say it, but 2 closest people to Connor Stallions was Chris Partridge, who got him in, and Jay Harbaugh.
Right.
It's already a proven point that those 3 were pretty tight knit. I mean, I don't want to see Jay Harbaugh go, but as I said to you yesterday, if firing coaches keeps us out of fucking getting into any NCAA issues,
right?
As Chris Stapleton said, fire the fuck away.
Right, but the thing is I think this is true for any father-son duo. But can you imagine? Jay's been with him just about everywhere, and I think Jim Harbaugh might resign himself before he fired his own son. But one of the things that's coming to light is this new rule this year that the head coach is responsible for everything, and that's okay. But my point is this: I worked at Home Depot, right, and I was responsible for 150-ish employees, and there's anywhere from 30 to 60 on at a time. And I didn't know. I would say Harbaugh's staff is counting all the GAs and everything. It's probably somewhere around 100 people. I might be off on that. I don't know. But so let me do this. Go back to the hardware store, right? We had 6 to 10 people working at, employed with us at
a time.
one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know everything everybody was doing at once. And I guess my biggest point to that is after I was gone, you had the one local girl stealing all the lottery tickets,
Mm-hmm.
right? And did a lot of damage quick. And we had a guy stealing money that I thought was a great employee, and stealing beer, giving a compressor door, and you can do the best you can, but it's impossible to know what everybody is doing at one time. You kind of go based on your knowledge of them and based on the reputation, and go from there. So
I mean, like you said, go ahead.
I get that that it's his deal, but that's a tough job. And if he does stay, and even if he doesn't stay, I expect Michigan to have somebody dedicated to that from now on, because John Bacon said a couple weeks ago, you go to the Shemmy thing, right? They hired him, and then he resigned. The Stallions, and the vetting seems to be not just a football problem, but a university problem, and they have to do a better job of vetting these people that they bring on,
And that's
especially.
the thing. I mean, you go from, like you said, you go from Shemmy down to Counter Stallion, down to Matt Weiss, whatever the fuck Matt Weiss was into,
right,
down to Alex Hood. Like, guys, come on, you got to do. There's ways to run background checks to find out this shit. I mean, I get out of all of them, Counter Stallion is probably the best. Not probably the best case scenario, because I mean, Counter Stallions was a Marine officer at that. So you think he'd have a little bit more honor, whatever the fuck you want to say. But I mean, the other ones, I mean, with Shemmy and all that, I mean, Shemmy never should have been hired in the first place.
No, I think he's deleted his Twitter, but I used to follow him on Twitter, and I was always like, with some of the stuff he posted. And so when they did hire him, I really thought that was a unusual hire. And I get that he was a legacy hire, and hey, we want to bring back any connection to the good that we can, which is, I'm sure, is solely why he was hired, but not a good look for anybody. And last night one of the Buckeyes did everything that's happened this year, and I'm like, well, if that was anybody but us, I'd be up in arms about it too. From Weiss to
we fired
to Shemmy.
So Harbaugh has 6-game suspensions.
Yep.
I mean,
2-3 game suspensions, right?
So you go to Weiss,
Partridge,
Stallions, Partridge, Shemmy. I mean, we fired 6-7 coaches this year. I mean, it is, but I mean, we're firing.
And again, I think that probably more than most of that goes back to a vetting problem. I have no clue as to what Weiss did. I don't think it's involved in this, but because I think everything would have come out a lot sooner if it was. But who knows? It's just who knows. But it's definitely left a black eye on the university. It's black eye on the football team season, and that's who I feel bad the most, is these kids who really didn't have anything to do with it. Hopefully, anyways. I don't see what the point in them knowing anything would have benefited. All that, loose lips sink ships. If you got 100 kids that know what's going on, it's going to come out, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Just a mess, not a good look. it's got me back to your status of why can't we have nice things with the sport teams I love? Here we are with arguably one of the most talented team that Michigan's had, at least in my lifetime, and a great season, look poised to make a national championship run, and here we are. So if we were to lose today or next Saturday, um, it just people are going to say we're making excuses, but I think you can justifiably say it's because Harbaugh wasn't on the sidelines, and they're bringing in Jesse Mentor's dad as a linebacker coach, longtime coach. I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but I'm also sure that he doesn't coach the way Chris Partridge plays. He doesn't have the relationship with the kids that Partridge did, and maybe he's been in and around the program, and so he's got some familiar.
I feel like he's had to have been.
And it's probably likely, maybe he just comes out and helps out where he can and observes and says, hey, this is what I see. And if he does, I think that's a plus. But not only the media scrutiny and all the opposing fan bases stuff, but these kids have went through a lot of change, right? And I don't care how much they say it's not a distraction. It's a distraction. It's a distraction now.
Yeah.
And it will continue to be. So hopefully they can motivate that and use that, or they can take that and channel it and use it as motivation instead of a distraction. But be hard to blame them if they did. To be honest with you, I'm expecting us to lose today.
Oh, I'm not expecting us to lose today. If we're going to lose, we'll lose next week. But I think the players are still too pissed off, and I'm actually not really concerned. Like I told you earlier this week, I'm not really too concerned about the guys, about the team. I mean, with Harbaugh being able to coach throughout the week, there's really no difference. Harbaugh hasn't been the one making the play calls. We all know that now. I mean, yeah, he's had some probably some input on it.
Sure.
But everything's really the same, honestly, other than he's not there. I mean, I know that's more of a mental game than anything, but I mean, it's just it really will depend. Rick, just go back real quick. This is what I meant to start off with, but I want to go off what you finished with. Rick Minter's been around the university since the same time Jesse has. He's been a defensive analysis for the Wolverines since last year.
Yeah. So
he's been around.
Yeah, so that's good. It's not just a brand new face coming in and saying, hey, I'm sure he's talked to those players, at least the guys there in the regular rotation, quite a bit. So, we'll see. That's why they play the games, right? But I just don't have a good feeling about it. But you want to know something I read yesterday, and it was from, I think it was Sam Webb, but Harbaugh is actually allowed to coach the pregame today too. He just cannot coach the game, so he can be out on the field.
I don't.
That's what I read, and I remember seeing that it was a credible force. He I think like 1 hour before the game, he's got to be off the field, something like that.
So why didn't he do it last week?
They sought clarification from the NCAA or the Big Ten, and they were told he's just got to miss the game. So I don't know. It's just something I read, and we'll see, of course. But I thought that was interesting. It seems to me it would be a game day suspension, not just a game, but whatever. I wish they.
No, it's everything. I mean, I'm looking at like 5-6 other ones. It's all. He can't be in like the stadium. This is from. I don't know. Fuck it. We'll see. I guess we'll see today. I guarantee that it'll be a fucking site on ESPN or wherever the fuck we're playing today.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess it would be ESPN because we took our contract from them. But yeah, I guess I'll see that today. Yeah, 20-minute mark. All right. Okay. So go back, talk about last week's game a little bit, get off this fucking topic. And then we'll preview Maryland after this. But Michigan, Penn State last week. I mean, you call it hard-nosed football, and the Big Ten has always been really called that. But last week, Michigan literally hard-nosed running all game long. I mean, give me your thoughts first, because I mean that's just between the 32 straight runs, which is just pure dominance of a team, to I mean the defense to everybody. I mean the whole game was a lot more impressive than I think a lot of people realize. A lot of people were really pissed off that Michigan was running the ball 32 straight times, whatever the fuck it was. Didn't run the ball, didn't throw the ball in the second half. I mean, it's if you know football and like football and like it's impressive to you, all in all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And people, a lot of people are worried that like, oh, why weren't they letting JJ throw the football?
Didn't need
they
to.
Were letting JJ throw. Yeah, exactly. Why do it when all you got to do is win this day and age?
And you know, I think part of that was due to the respect for their secondary for sure, but I think it was more, you know, it's funny. We start off the game right. I think we're up 14-3, and Charlie had texted me, well, man, this is way too easy. And I'm like, yeah, no. And then it kind of got tight for there for a little bit. You know, we were always in control, but we get into the second half, and you know, I really believe to my core that was fuck you. That was our version of.
Well, yeah, no, it was definitely a big fuck you to Manny Diaz. Fuck Manny Diaz.
Yeah.
But no, and like I loved every second of it, like I told you, but and just real quick, that's why that game last week is also why I'm not worried about this team.
And that's fair, but there's been a whole lot more happened since then too.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, there's been more shakeups with Chris Partridge, but I don't know. But anyways, back to Penn State.
I'll say this before we get back to it. You know, Michigan thought enough of Chris Partridge to bring him back, right? So
I mean, I get that, but our linebackers were still good when he was gone.
They were. I'm not saying that he's the reason that we've had all our success or anything, but anyways, old school Big Ten smash mouth football. Here you go, motherfuckers. We're gonna run it down your throat, and there's no secrets here. Stop it. And they couldn't. You know, they couldn't. Number one rushing defense in the country. They knew what was coming. At some point, you got to know, okay, that's what these guys are gonna do. We're gonna stop it, and they couldn't. And that's the hardest thing in football and sports, I think, is. And this goes back to the sign stealing stuff, is that you can know what's coming. They knew what was coming. You know, Deion Sanders said it when this all first broke. Yeah, I don't care if they know what's or not. You still got to stop us. Penn State knew what we were going to do. We said 2 years in a row. You know, last year we did a lot more damage. I think we were a little over 400 yards, but
yeah, we put up over 700 yards on them in rushing in the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, so that was my takeaway. At first, I thought, you know, come on, let's do this. But then I said, you know, I'm like, I dig it, because let's go, motherfuckers. The game's on the line, and stop us.
So, and if we can put up 280 yards on them, which that was probably the most legit, because I mean Penn State's always been like every year it's like, oh, their defense is great, their defense is great, their defense is
Yep.
great. But I'm saying like this year though was like the first year where I was like watching them during that game. I was like, yeah, okay, you know what? They are actually legit.
Yeah.
They're actually legit, probably top 3 rushing defense wise. And but the fact that we still did it, in my opinion, just proves we can run against anybody. I mean, a lot of people are worried that we aren't going to be able to run against Ohio State in 2 weeks. Um, I don't know if you've watched Ohio State. Ohio State has actually given up against the bigger teams, against Notre Dame, Penn State. People have been able to run the ball.
Yep.
They aren't. It's going to be this season is unlike the Penn State game. This season is just too much like last year to me. And I think we have all the talent in the fucking world. And I think it doesn't matter who's on the. I don't know. I keep going back to this, but I don't think it matters, Ed. I still think we go to the playoffs. I don't think I told you the other day when we were talking about this. I don't think it matters until probably we get in the playoffs if Harbaugh was suspended or not for the playoffs. I think then you're like, well, shit, okay, because one, they probably haven't been watching team film on majority of the teams that'll be in the playoffs, other than like your Georgias.
Yep.
Maybe Florida State teams that have been in the top 40, but you're probably not watching film 124/7 like you're watching film in the Big Ten teams, especially Ohio State.
Right. And we've been prepping, we prep for them every practice. So, I don't know. Something side note, I seen this tweet from an interview that Aiden Hutchinson did, and I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much said, they're so successful and dominant. It's no fun to watch. It's boring to watch. So I really haven't been watching them too much, but I'll definitely be watching the Ohio State game. And I thought that was funny because you and I have had that conversation a couple times this year.
It was. I mean, last week's game was the first game since the TCU game where I've been like, all right, we could lose this game. Like, it was tight, it was close, and up. And I mean, like I said, we scored those 2 rushing touchdowns with Donovan Edwards, which fucking big game Don, I guess. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And it's always, I'm gonna pause there. I mean, with him, I mean, it seems like it's always at the end of the year.
Yep.
You go back to his freshman year, where did he break out this week, that year against Maryland with that 10 reception, 170 yards, and a touchdown run? That big game where he had receiving. And then last year, broke out against Penn State. Didn't have really – he had a way better start last year, but broke out against Penn State. I know Penn State was a little bit earlier in the season, October timeframe. But still, and you didn't really see much of him other than like the Ohio State game. You go back after that, it's the Ohio State game where he did something. I mean, but that game, all in all, it was the first game where I've been like, all right, we can actually lose this game, and I actually think we can lose this game. Today, I'm back to feeling as if, is what it is. Just another day, another dollar. Let's win this fucking game and move on to Ohio State.
And hopefully that's the way it goes.
I mean, we're favored by, looking at it now, we're favored by 18.5. Maryland fell off the face of the earth. I guess we can roll right into that. Maryland fell off the face of the earth after starting the season, 5-0?
Yeah, now they're 64.
Yeah, but after started 5-0, they lost 4 straight to Ohio State, Illinois, Northwestern, and Penn State. Penn State absolutely destroyed them. Ohio State destroyed them. Well, they played with Ohio State in the first half, but and they squeaked by last week against a win against Nebraska, which kind of pisses me off because I was low key cheering for Nebraska because Nebraska 2 weeks ago was lined up to pretty much own their own destiny to go to the Big Ten championship game. And I thought that would have been great to see, but no, but they've shit the bed against Michigan State, which they kind of got fucked against Michigan State at the end of the game, but we won't get into that too much. And then, last week against Maryland, they had an opportunity, just couldn't do it. But
Yep.
Maryland it's not. They aren't the team. I think a lot of people thought, all right, Maryland might be able to compete for a Big Ten championship. Probably not Big Ten championship, but could compete this year in the West. I mean, in the East, and it's so far being proven once again, they're going to be a 7, 8, 6, 7 win team. Almost at 8, and I'm like, I hope they aren't an 8-win team. Just like they always are. They really haven't been anything other than like a middle of the pack Big Ten team.
Correct.
And I mean, going into today's game, we got. I mean, I'll give them all. They have a bunch of talent. But when you have Josh fucking Gaddis as your offensive coordinator, you're gonna fucking not use that talent.
And I hope that's the case, but I don't know.
No, I mean, Taulia's a fucking dog. I don't even care. I would take Taulia in a heartbeat as a quarterback. I just don't think Maryland's a great. It's just if he played somewhere a little bigger, other than Maryland, like I don't know. I think he would have a little bit more success with a little bit more talent. But I mean, you're looking at Taulia. Taulia's 245 passes for 375. Only's got 2769. Other than him, I mean, he is their offense, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Part. If he's got a bad game, it's not going to matter.
And that's the key, I think. Can we get pressure on him, knock him down, get some sacks?
You're going to get pressure, but you also got to contain him because he's quick.
Right. And for 20 years, that's kind of been our Achilles heel with mobile quarterbacks.
I mean, you can go back to last week. I mean, Drew Aller ran the ball how many times?
Yeah.
And I mean, Drew Aller's not. I wouldn't 100% suggest that he's a running quarterback at all.
No.
They were. It made me laugh because they were comparing him to Josh Allen last week during the game, and I'm like, guys, come on.
I missed that.
And I don't remember. I can't remember if it was Gus or Joel, which one it was. But it wasn't like a straight up comparison. They had said that he's like, yeah, he's not to that level yet, but it's like the type of play he does. And I mean, I can kind of see it, but he sucked the pass in football. Dude was inaccurate as hell. I mean, he's only like a sophomore, I think. But not the Penn State quarterbacks that they've had so far.
Right.
But all in all, I mean, I think Maryland. I mean, there's good stuff on the line today against Maryland. I mean, program trying to go for the 1,000th win, be the first program to get the 1,000 wins, at least for now.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, right? And not to keep going back to it, but to me, for Jim Harbaugh to agree to miss that's a big deal, right? First program to do it, and or lose, his name to be on that, and for his name to be on, we would have to lose the next 2 games and win a bowl game, and just knowing how important Michigan's history is and all of that, I know that, and he's openly talked about it, but I know that was very important for him to have that on his name in the record books for eternity, and now that's not going to happen. It's going to be Sharon Moore if it happens today or next week. And I don't want us to lose today, but I think it would be even sweeter if we got our 1,000th victory against the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and it would,
Let's
but
get it.
I don't want to lose this game. We can't. We can't. Not for this. The state of the program is that, like you said, everything going on. Let's just get it over with today. And I mean, and if you let that happen during the Ohio State game, it also probably adds to the distraction that's already there. A little bit more
Right.
pressure. I mean, that could be worse for that situation. Now that I think about it, but I mean, like I said, I still think we win it pretty easily. I think Michigan probably wins it 42-17, something like that, 42-21. I'll lock in at 42-17, though. Could be a trap game, but hopefully not.
31-28 Maryland.
You're fucking insane. I know for a fact you don't believe that, but you just I know for a fact you don't. And I'm not biting the bait this time. I want to, but I'm not gonna. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens in the field today. Going on to, I guess Pick'em's. Hang on, we got some time. Hang on a second. Real quick, we haven't talked about them. I'm trying to set up this whole Wednesday show thing that I haven't really announced yet. But Michigan basketball, they have no fucking defense. Jesus Christ. Like, goddamn none. I mean, I don't even care. Like, I'm not, and like I said, they lost to Long Beach State last night. Whatever. But if you go back, let me get to them real quick. I thought I had it pulled up. Bunch of fucking offense with zero defense. I mean, 74, 62, 73, 80. I mean, the 94 last night they've given up.
Right.
I mean, that just might be the way this team's going to play basketball all year. Is just be a run and gun team. We're gonna play to outscore you, which I'm fine with. And I don't think last night's loss is as bad as what it seems.
I don't think so. Yeah, this is a young team, right, and a largely new team. It's going to take some time for them to become a cohesive unit. It's really easy to let your expectations go high when you started off the way we did. But no doubt, there's going to be growing pains with this team, and I think we saw that last night.
Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, and all in all, other than the defensive side of the ball, it wasn't a bad game. You scored 86 points, you probably expect to win that game.
Defense is half the game, though. So,
dude,
except for me pulling the trigger, I didn't mean to kill that guy. You know what I mean? They're.
No, I know that, but I mean, it's
the game.
It's just fucking insane to me because, like, I looked at the score because, like I said, game wasn't on TV last night. I looked at the score that at the start of the game, and Michigan was up like 23-7 or some shit like that. And I'm like, all right, it's like 9 minutes in the game. I'm like, all right, this game's fucking over. Like, cool. So I just didn't look again, and I looked. It was like whatever I texted you last night. I was like, Michigan was down by 6. I was like, with like 11 minutes left in the game. And I'm like, what the fuck happened here?
And I really thought they would come back and pull it out, but they didn't.
Well, and after that, they did come back and take the lead back, but they just didn't fucking hold on to it.
Right.
They hit once they hit 86, they froze. I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, because like I said, it was 23-7. It was 50-48 at halftime. Somebody posted on Twitter, it made me laugh my ass off, and it's like, oh, so we're the USC of college basketball, apparently. And I'm like, yeah, well, not right now.
That's funny.
I mean, but going into the stretch, I mean, there's a lot of big games coming up. I mean, like Michigan is either going to have to figure it the fuck out or just outscore everybody. I mean, because coming up I think Monday. Pulling up something real quick. Michigan starts the Battle of Atlantis but it starts off with that's not the basketball team, is it? Yeah, it is. I mean, you start off playing Memphis in the first game of that. I mean, and then it can go anywhere from there. I mean, there's a bunch of good teams in that this year. Um, I mean, you have teams as of Arkansas. Obviously, Memphis is the first team you play, but the other teams in there is Arkansas, North Carolina, Stanford, Texas Tech, Villanova, University of Northern Iowa. I mean, that's a pretty solid lineup of teams that are very, very big NCAA tournament teams. Like you get the wins over them, that's going to look really good on your resume. And then you take those teams, and then you go down after the Battle of Atlantis is over. We have at Oregon directly after that, and then you get the Big Ten play with Indiana and Iowa. Play a bullshit game against Eastern Michigan, which I don't know, might not be a bullshit game. Who knows with this team? And then finish out of conference play against Florida down in I think it's down in North Carolina for the Jumpman Classic. And then you get back into Big Ten play right away. I mean, we got a pretty rough schedule to start the year, and I mean it's a great opportunity for this young team to get some key wins early in the season that'll help on
Yeah,
the resume
absolutely.
side of whether if we don't do good in Big Ten play this year. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's a like I said, young team. Not they aren't like super young, but they're more new than young, if anything. Because I mean, it's a lot of transfers. Um, I don't know. Hopefully, at least right now, Phil Martelli can get them right, and I mean, Jawan Howard hopefully will be back soon. Um, from that, it'll be interesting to see what the basketball squad does for the rest of the season. My hopes, my hopes were very low at the start of the year, and they kind of went a little high, and then after last night, I'm back down to about probably like a 60-40 shot of making the tournament. At least that's my expectation for them.
So,
That,
I would maybe even go as high as 70-30. They're a young team. There's going to be growing pains. Um, you expect to see a lot of improvement from game 1 to game 30 when the tournament starts. But we really didn't see it last year. So that gives me a little bit of pause. But you would expect these, especially the young kids, to young and grow and learn on the fly. And the reality is maybe they got a little big head disease last night, and they got knocked down a peg, and it could be a positive in the long term. So, it's just so hard to tell, um, and the way that the Michigan sports fandom continues to bite us in the ass is we could not lose another game the rest of the season, then our plane's going to crash on the way to the tournament. So we have a Marshall situation. And I'm not trying to make a light of it. That's just kind of where my head is right now.
that's even more fucked up because it's happened.
Right.
Not on the Marshall side, but I mean, our plane did crash.
Yeah.
But I mean, all in all, I mean, that was fucked up. That's fucked up.
I mean, that was dramatic, but I just mean, that we can't have nice things is kind of
no, we cannot.
Kind of the way it is.
I'm gonna need the Tigers, by the way, to either go sign Shoni Otani or go get this kid out of Japan. That's coming this year, like another Shoni Otani type player.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I seen something yesterday that a couple of days ago, but that said it would take $750 million to get him to Detroit.
Oh well.
Chris Ilitch is never. Mike Ilitch, hell yeah, he'd have wrote the check and been on the way. But I don't see Chris Ilitch doing it.
I don't know. Anyways, pick'ems. Let's do pick'ems real quick. Before I go down another fucking rabbit hole of a sports team. Last week we were fucking dead even. Obviously, we couldn't have been any wrong against each other. Let me find my pen here. So first game I got on here is Michigan State versus Indiana at Indiana. Who you got?
Indiana.
Can Michigan State still make a bowl game? If they went out?
Maybe.
No, my interest is up. Hang on. Let me. No,
I'm
not
looking
that.
through.
Yeah, I'll let you do it. I'm taking Indiana too. Sorry. I just wanted to think about that. I think they still can.
They can, no. They're 3-7, 2 games left.
They are 3-7. Oh, they lost last week. Yeah, they played Ohio State.
There's a lot of talk that there's not enough bowl eligible teams, so they'll be taking some 5-win teams.
Yeah, Michigan State don't deserve any of that. They ain't finishing fucking. They ain't beat Penn State. I'll tell you that right now.
No,
even though it's at Ford Field in a big environment, like a cool environment, that won't happen.
Yeah, they could beat Indiana today. My gut kind of says they're gonna, but I'm not gonna pick them. I'm gonna stick with Indiana, but I don't think that they beat Penn State either. So they're gonna be a 4-win team.
100%. Next one.
Who'd you pick?
Indiana. Louisville versus Miami. Louisville's fucking a surprise this year. I think they'll have one loss this season. Miami's a shit show. Louisville by a lot.
Louisville.
Next one, East Carolina versus Navy. I have no idea, but this time I'm not going to go against Navy, even though it's probably going to bite me in my ass. But I'm going with Navy.
East Carolina.
Next one, App State versus James Madison. Honestly, this is probably going to be actually a really good game. But I'm going to roll with James Madison. I'm kind of on the James Madison hype train right now.
Me too. And the NCAA declined their waiver yesterday or the day before, so they're going to be fired up. I think James Madison.
Madison. Georgia, Tennessee, who you got?
Georgia.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go against Georgia anymore this season. This is probably the game that they fucking choke away. But now that I picked them. Marshall. Oh, sorry, skipped one. North Carolina, Clemson. Battle of the Carolinas. Who you got?
Clemson.
Cool. There's our first one. All right. North Carolina. I think North Carolina. I just want to see Dabo Swinney fail. I can't stand Dabo Swinney.
And I don't like him either, but I think they beat Carolina.
UNC. Marshall, South Alabama. I don't even remember who the fuck I had in this one. I didn't write it down. So we're just going to pull up my wild hair, and I'm going to roll with the We Are Marshalls.
Same.
Marshall. Kansas State, Kansas.
Kansas.
I got K-State. That's going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah.
Like that might be like a classic game. where that's gonna be really good. Another good game tonight to watch is Washington State versus Oregon State, or Washington versus Oregon State. I'm sorry, not Washington State. Oregon State's still kind of in that hunt. They're kind of back there, but they're still in the hunt for that Pac-12 championship berth. Big spot would have to pull off this upset tonight against Washington. And as much as I would love, I mean, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna take a chance here, and I'm gonna roll with Oregon State in this one, pull off the upset at home.
All righty, I got Washington.
And then the last one of the night, San Diego State versus San Jose State. Like I said, there's not a lot of. There's a bunch. This is the SEC's week of sitting down and playing Stockbridge High School teams, so there's like no good games on.
Right.
But yeah, San Diego State, San Jose State. In honor of Brady Hoke announcing his retirement, I'm going to take San Diego State.
Same.
Because like that's one thing is like, dude just did not do good here, but that is a Michigan man through and through.
It is. He he did everything the right way. He was in over his head here,
and he loved the university. He loves everything about it. He just wasn't built to be a head coach at a university,
at a major school. He just wasn't solid. Mac. What I don't even know what league SDSU is in, but
I think it's Mountain West.
Mountain West, yep.
I think so.
A solid non-power 5 coach. He's done things the right way. He's had a really solid career. Michigan's kind of put a little bit of a tarnish on it, but he had 2 good seasons, right? One good season, really,
with the Rich Rod's players.
Yeah. So hats off to him. Hope he enjoys his retirement.
I agree completely. But yeah, I think that's it for today's show. Unless you got anything else.
Nope.
I think it's time to go watch some type of TV and watch some football today. Guys, like I said, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for watching, Dave. We'll be back this week. We'll be back next weekend. And as always, guys, go blue.
Go blue.